Oh, good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday night. Short work week for me. I'm headed to Oklahoma Thursday. Got a big wedding coming up. It's going to be a little hotter there, but it will be heating up here. We're going to talk about the heat returning. But overall, it's really not too bad. We're talking about 90, but it's not going to be the 90 we're used to. It's not going to be the all-day 90-degree weather. So there's some good news there. I think we peak for a couple of hours at 90, at least in the coming days. Tomorrow probably will stop at about 85. But overall, it's a lot better. This is one of the best starts of August we have seen in years. I'd say I'd be willing to bet 30 years because I've been here 30 years almost, and 29. And I've never seen a start to August this cool. So it's amazing. But July was certainly a really hot one too, though, wasn't it? Man, that was one of the most brutal Julys I've ever seen. The heat indexes, we didn't have any record highs. It was just the heat index, the brutal heat index that was around 111 to 113 3 consecutive days. So right now it's comfortable 74. And the thing about this air mass is that it doesn't really change much at night when you keep the clouds. The temperatures don't drop much. They stay in the 70s. And that's kind of what we're seeing out there tonight. And the mosquitoes, they just love this weather. They love it. They love it when you're outside without bug spray. Here's a look at the temperature spread. Notice the green tint here, the contours. This has been the common thread here. We get a northeast wind and it becomes more easterly, and it brings in this fetch of almost a marine layer, reverse marine layer all the way from the Atlantic, because the Atlantic waters are cooler. They're cooler than the Gulf, but they're still not all that cool this time of year. That's what can really surprise me, to be honest, about how strong this wedge has been for the first week of August, especially after, we've basically had a 35-degree temperature swing during the afternoon. It's at least what it feels like, because it's not like your traditional air mass. You look to the north, and it's 77 in Des Moines, Lincoln, Nebraska, Minneapolis, 77 there. All the cool air is coming in from the northeast, and I'll kind of illustrate that coming up. It'll be after the commercial break as we talk extended weather. Notice the clearing here. We're seeing more clearing tonight, so therefore it's probably going to be a little cooler, but we also may see more fog out there. But one thing that may delay the fog is the fact that we haven't had any real significant rain the last few days, and that kind of keeps the humidity down. Yeah, I agree with you, Rayanne. The last 2 days have been amazing, which is going to make it so hard to get back to regular August weather. As we expand the view down to the south, not a lot going on. We don't have any big tropical systems down, at least in the immediate area down along the Gulf, but we are watching an area out here. You've got a wave coming off the coast of Africa. Again, I don't have the satellite on over Africa, but you kind of get the trend here. This is going to be the next big thing we're watching. Something's going to develop here, probably a tropical storm over the next 4 or 5 days. We just don't know where it's going to go. We don't know if it's going to curve. Typically, this time of year, they will more likely take a path very close to the Lesser Antilles, so the Virgin Islands, and then curve north. But some of the models, they're split. One of the models has it kind of making its way there and maybe east of the Bahama Island chain in about 7 to 10 days. Again, we're guessing right now. But the other model kind of has it going west towards Belize. But we'll see. That orange cone there, that area, that's kind of where the Hurricane Center's watching. And that 40% chance, that's going to be over the next 4 or 5 days. I think as we head into the weekend, there may be something. Adam checking in. Thanks for checking in, Adam. Maybe something develop off the Carolina coast, and it may just bring more rain to Carolinas. They've seen quite a bit of rain the last few days with the current setup we have now. But I think we're going to have to wait. Again, the Gulf probably won't get active for a few more weeks, hopefully. I'm planning a fishing trip down there in September. What a bad timing, I'm sure. We'll find out. But the daily planner here for tomorrow, warmer, more humidity. The east wind kind of sticks around, and temperatures will be a touch warmer, but it's going to feel more like early June, late May than it is early August. Let's go hour by hour here. This is the noon hour tomorrow. I'm with you, Rayanne. Bring on fall, but you know it's not going to be like this. The first week of fall is probably going to be in the 90s. I just have that feeling. But, I did see something. I haven't really looked it up, but someone was talking about the polar vortex being a little stronger now, and we may be in for early fall, early winter. But this is not indicative of all. Now again, this is not attached to that polar vortex pattern. This is a wedge, but it's interesting that we're getting a wedge this time of year. It would be a really good research project if I had time, but I just don't have time. All the things I've got to do to go in and research and figure out when the last time we had a nice wedge of cool air in August. And I'd be willing to bet it's probably been over 30 years, just because I've never seen it. At least I don't remember it. Of course, when I was younger and I first got here, probably the first 5 years, I don't remember too much about the wedge because it was kind of, I'm from Kansas, so we didn't study much about the East Coast effect here in the Tennessee Valley. Yeah, it's starting to dry up. I noticed Jack's post here talking about how dry it is. Yeah, it hasn't rained. We haven't had anything but 1/4 of an inch in probably the last week. So, and then that's the flip side of this. When it dries out here in Alabama, it dries out. It doesn't take much. It's just a really good thing it's not really hot, or it would be worse. We could see a flash drought, we call it, which is a drought that kind of takes over within 2 weeks. Usually it takes a lot more time, but we always keep our eyes on that this time of year. So do the farmers. Back to tomorrow about 1:45. Still not much going on. This is the new model guidance. It's trending into less rain, which is kind of in our thought the last few days. But there will be some isolated, we'll call them rogue showers or a thunder shower. Now down south Alabama, they had some heavier rainfall. I was watching that earlier. I think it had some rainfall totals around 4 inches today. So the tropical air mass definitely showing off in South Alabama, but we're enjoying the fall air mass while it lasts. One thing I will show you, about 10 o'clock tomorrow night, model guidance earlier today had this area that's in Georgia over DeKalb, Jackson, and Marshall County, and it's not there. So that's the troubles with forecasting this time of year. Here is your 3-day forecast. Each and every day gets just a touch warmer, but really can't go anything over 20% on the chance of a shower or thunderstorm. We're going to take a quick break, and then I'll be right back. We're going to talk about the extended forecast, take a larger view, going to go hour by hour through Thursday and Friday, and then talk about that 10-day forecast in just a few. All right, thanks for sticking around. We're going to talk about this Thursday, Friday, the pattern, why it's been so wacky. It's been wacky all summer. In fact, to go back to spring, it's just been very strange, the entire weather pattern. Pensacola Beach next week, it's going to be touch and go. I think there will be a little bit more activity down there, but overall, I don't see the area in the tropics affecting them just yet, but we'll have to watch that. Again, if you're planning a trip anywhere along the Gulf Coast, the East Coast, you're going to have to monitor the weather over the next 10 days because there could be, this is that time of year where we start to get more concerned about not just storm systems, tropical storms that develop along the southern edge of a cold front. We get the modified long-tracked tropical systems that come at us from the Caribbean. So we'll have to watch that. Amber wants to know, pool's down to 78 degrees. Is it going to warm back up? And that gets to the heat capacity of water. It takes longer to cool the water. It takes longer to warm it back up. So I think your pool water is probably going to be sitting on about 84, 85 degrees in about 4 weeks. Again, we're going to see another warm up here. Let's talk about what's going on right now. And one of the reasons that we have this cooler air, this is called cold air damming, backdoor front. And this has been sticking around for a while. This is almost like a present pattern change for 3 days. A lot of times the wedge will come down. It'll come down in the spring or the winter. It'll sneak in. It can give us an ice storm especially as you get into Sand Mountain and Lookout Mountain. You get very unique changes with this. What happens is the wind is originating from the Atlantic, and the air mass itself is cooler, but as it rides over the water, the Atlantic is typically cooler. I mean, and we're talking summertime Atlantic, it's still cooler. But you go into the winter and the spring months, it's much, much cooler. So you see a more dramatic change here. And this is where we get ice storms. This is also, I classically remember a setup, I think it was in January or February, not this year, it was several years ago. And we were forecasting several inches of snow and a wedge setup, and it brought in tremendously dry air. I think the dew points fell to like 8 degrees below zero. So the air was dry. The snow was falling, but it was all drying up. It was evaporating before it made it to the ground. So we all looked pretty bad there that day when all the schools, I think, closed. We were forecasting like 8 inches of snow, and we didn't get anything. So I've been in that. So again, we're talking snow. I'm sure I'm getting everybody ready to go out and buy Halloween decorations. But yeah, this is the wedge, and when you get this reverse flow here, it kind of changes everything. So that's your set. That's Thursday morning, by the way, and it's still showing signs it's there, especially in North Georgia and even towards Chattanooga. Look at Atlanta. Thursday at noon, still 73 degrees. The other thing that may happen is this high pressure, there's a weak tropical system the Hurricane Center is watching. It's going to be off the coast of the Carolinas. It could take this moisture and push it farther to the west. So that's one thing we'll watch. And you notice as we get into Thursday afternoon, we start to see more isolated thunderstorms. Of course, it warms up too, but 87, we can handle that. 80 in Atlanta, though, in August is usually pretty pleasant too, but they've been in the upper 60s the last few days. So notice as this kicks in, as we get on into your Thursday night into Friday, this starts to turn more to the southeast, and that brings the humidity back. And if I could change those arrows colors, I'd change them more to green because the blue kind of has the cooler air. But it has been nice to cool down to this. The next time we see this will probably be late in the fall. Here's that 10-day forecast. It's not bad at all, really. The only problem with this is we don't have a lot of rain. We got these 20% chances. We got these rogue showers and storms. So we're going to need something tropical to come in here by the next 3 weeks or so, or we're going to start kind of getting abnormally dry, and then we'll start talking about drought. But usually that happens because August, September, if we don't get a tropical system in the Gulf, we typically don't see any significant rainfall around here. But appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. That's that 10-day forecast. I got to go cut some radio, and then I've got to do the 10 o'clock news tonight. I got to be in for that, right? And again, I'll be tomorrow's my Friday. Headed out to Oklahoma for a wedding for about 10 days. Going to enjoy some vacation time for a change. All right, you guys take care again. I appreciate your time.